Hey everybody, Tony Johnson here, your customer experience leader. Welcome to your Monday, and of course, we are still in the middle of social distancing. We are still in the middle of this new normal, and I know many of you, again, working from home. But you know what? It's Monday, and it's a great chance to reinvigorate and get started. Now, I gave you all a little bit of homework over the weekend. I asked you to take a moment for a little bit of self-care, to take care of yourself, to try to take that moment and breathe and relax and recenter. And I wonder if you did that. I wonder if you took that moment. If you did, give us a couple of likes on there. I see we got some people on live right now. Give us some likes if you actually took the time to do that. And, I did get some questions over the weekend as well, asking if there was any recommendations I had around, ways to practice some self-care. And I will tell you, if you have not seen things from Dan Harris, who wrote the 10% Happier book, and he does a podcast. Dan Harris is an anchor on Good Morning America weekends, but he is also someone who was a war correspondent. He was a real up-and-coming person, and he actually had a panic attack live on Good Morning America. Gosh, it was probably over a decade ago. But his story and his journey into sort of self-help and mindfulness and all of these things was outstanding and very relevant. And so that is one tip I can give you, is anything around the 10% Happier platform with Dan Harris is absolutely worth a watch or a listen. And the guy gets it. And here's the thing I like best about it, is Dan Harris was so worried about losing his edge, about, he calls it meditation for fidgety skeptics, I think. And he was so worried about losing his edge because he was this big time news reporter that he really did try to figure out how meditation could fit into everybody's life and how mindfulness could help you with that. And so just know it's really worth a listen. It's not too hippy dippy. So please, that's a resource, and I'm just kind of answering back to one of the questions I had from this weekend. The other thing that I wanted to mention going into today is that American Airlines has now come along with Delta and with Hilton and some of the others. I got my note from them today that they are actually going to extend loyalty into 2021, as some of the other major carriers have done. And so kudos to them for stepping up. And really, American Airlines is one of my airlines of choice when I travel. And having been grounded, as I've mentioned before, for so long, start to worry about losing that loyalty and that kind of stuff. So again, kudos to American Airlines, and that again is a lesson for everyone to consider. How are you staying in contact and engendering that fantastic loyalty with those people that you serve? So the other thing that I was thinking about too over the weekend was, as we think about what new normal is going to feel like, there are some businesses out there who I think are going to have to come up with some innovative and really imaginative ways when you think about some of these giant crowd control things that happen. So I was thinking about the Walt Disney Corporation, Universal Studios right down the road from me, and how in heaven's name they're going to work with having thousands and tens of thousands of people in their properties at any given time. That's going to mean sanitation, that's going to mean crowd control, that's going to mean spacing, and something that they've never had to think about before. So whether it's going to be virtual queues or whether it's going to be some other pieces that they look at to bring to bear, I think we're going to have to watch some of these big hitters. And I will tell you, if you're in the convention space, if you are in sports and entertainment, if you are in a big sports venue like maybe you run a baseball stadium or something like that, really keep an eye out for how some of these big hitters come to market, because places that bring a whole lot of people into one place, and I think we saw a lot of this after 9/11, has to really think about how you're going to go back to market and what that's going to look like. So while you still got some time though, because again, as I'm listening to the news today, I was listening to Governor Cuomo today, I was watching the president's pieces over the weekend, I believe that we are getting ready to start thinking about what ramp up's going to look like. And as I watch Dr. Fauci and some of those folks talk about, what does a measured approach look like, I think from a business standpoint, we all have to be doing the same thing as well. So a couple of tips for today. Think about your reopening strategy. And think about it in terms of, what if it happens in 2 weeks? What if it happens in 2 months? What if it happens, in 3 months? What does that look like for you, and how will you regiment it? So really start thinking about that process, and really, again, think about what opening looks like and walk it back from there, because then whenever you choose or can open, you can just drop that plan and sort of lift and shift it through time. So way to think about it there. Communicate what you're doing with your guests, with your customers, with your consumers. Make sure that you take the time to communicate what you're doing to combat the spread of coronavirus and COVID-19. And that is really making sure that you're very transparent about what your strategy is going to be, not only to take care of your customers, but to take care of the people who work with you and for you and beside you as well. Because as a leader, we have to think about that. So be super transparent and over communicate everything that you're going to do when it comes to reducing the spread, because that's going to be a big deal. And customers are going to be very into watching how organizations are going to combat this, because remember, this has the potential to be a recurring thing. So we have to be ready for it, much like cruise lines had to think about what it meant to keep rotavirus under control. And that's why if you take a cruise or go to a large place, you see people walking around and they're just just openly wiping down doorknobs and banisters and railings and elevator buttons. What's your plan going to be, and how are you going to communicate it? And then my last tip for today, another little piece of homework. I always like to make sure I leave you something to look at. So make sure to think about your social media strategy. And during this time, before people can get back into your organization full time, it is a great chance to communicate with them in new and creative and exciting ways. And also, really, if you don't have, for example, an Instagram feed, or if you're only on Facebook, or if you haven't experimented with Twitter yet, great chance to get out there and play and take some chances. Here's the bigger challenge too. What will you do with some of these new up-and-coming platforms like TikTok and Snapchat? Because the business applications could be huge, or they could be nothing. It all depends on where your demographics are and if that age group is an age group that really does have meaning for you. So take a chance, practice, play with them. This is a no-stress time to take some chances on your social media strategy. And so, again, when you think about TikTok and Snapchat, they have become a little bit on the tough side for businesses. So really think about, what can you do? Think fun, think engaging, think short. That's really what wins on those platforms. These are what I believe are the low attention span social media platforms. So make sure that you're keeping the content fast-paced, engaging, and it is a great place to have a sense of humor, because that is really what seems to be valued on those two social platforms. And who knows, you may tap into an unknown demographic that really does want to do business with you. So again, remember, we are already talking about what ramp up means. The federal government and most state and local governments, although a lot of them are in a different part of the curve right now, are all thinking about what's next, because reopening the country, I don't think is months away. I think it's weeks away. So be sure that you're thinking about those pieces. And remember, I'm here to help. Check out my website, igniteyourservice.com/comeback, because we are, folks, right smack dab in the middle of the great service comeback. It is going to be a business story for the ages. Talk about, a phoenix coming back. This is skyrocketing business opportunities, but only if you're ready to get out there and grab it, because the competition is going to be fierce. You've got to be first. It's kind of like, what did Ricky Bobby say, right? If you're not first, you're last, right? That's right. I am quoting Ricky Bobby today on the telecast. But I will be here every day for you live at 5:30 to talk about business strategies. Tomorrow we will get back into it even more. I'm going to share a couple of pieces from my book tomorrow that I think will be absolutely helpful for you as you think about relaunch. And that's where to start. 4 proven strategies to up your service game. You can get it on Amazon, Audible, and in Kindle ebook. Check it out. And I will make sure to post a link down below for that. But until tomorrow, I am Tony Johnson, your customer experience leader. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a video. I will see you tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern.